in order to talk about the evolution of social networking threats, we need to first talk about the evolution of social networks themselves. So as probably all of you know, social networks are growing. And you can see here the evolution of malicious software that is actually targeting social networks. Let's say eight years ago when we started to monitor the situation, there weren't many threats targeting social networks because there weren't many social networks out there and there weren't many social networking users out there. But as time went on, every year the number of malicious software that targets social network doubled, more than doubled actually every year. So as you can see in 2008, the number was a little bit less than 30,000. And now in 2009, the total number of malicious software samples that are targeting social networks is more than 100,000. That is our estimate until now based on our collection of malware. So anyway, what to expect from 2010 in terms of social networking threats? I try to divide the threats between four categories based on how old or new are the threats and based on how old or new are the applications, the web applications that are targeted. So these are the four categories, all threats in all applications. We've been talking about that in 2009. I don't think there's any more reasons that we need to talk about it right now. And then we have old threats in new applications, which are pretty predictable. Everybody knows the old threats. You can just take the new applications and apply the old threats for them, and there you go, you have a prediction. Then we have new threats in old applications, which is, well, you take the old applications, you take their newest features, and you try to figure out what are the new threats that can emerge over those applications. And then in the end, you have the new threats based on the new applications, which is, as far as I think, totally unpredictable because nobody knows what new applications are going to appear out there, so nobody knows what their features will be, nobody knows how they will be exploited. So right now when we speak, 1 in 150 websites is infected. And the thing is, right now I'm not talking about websites that are purposely made to infect the users, that are purposely created by cyber criminals. I'm talking here about legitimate websites. Websites that get infected, for example, by Gambler, as Alex said in his presentation. And what actually happens is that these legitimate websites, websites with legitimate traffic, websites that are trusted by their users, they get injected with some JavaScript or some iframe pointing to a malicious website, delivering a zero-day exploit. These compromises are happening through FTP accounts passwords being stolen. And of course, the FTP passwords are being stolen from infected computers themselves. So you can see how this goes on and on as a vicious circle, which is pretty hard to stop. But anyway, the thing is, what's out there is out there anyway. So we should better move on and talk about the future. Old threats, new applications. Cross-site scripting has been out there for several years right now. There should be no reason that cross-site scripting vulnerabilities would still be found in web applications. But reality shows that they are still being found. And this is probably because the social networking industry is something that moves really fast. It's something that changes really fast. So the developers don't really have the necessary time to allocate to really consider security measures. So they are rushed into delivering out products as fast as possible. And this is why they have these small glitches, small problems that can lead to user accounts being stolen and etc. So anyway, the first old threat in new application would be vulnerabilities, old vulnerabilities. The second one, unwanted content. Whenever we have a new application out there, there are always going to be cyber criminals who would start filling it or delivering unwanted content related to that application. Before Facebook, spam was still out there, phishing was still out there. So when Facebook appeared and people started moving towards Facebook, spam and phishing also started to target Facebook. So there you go, we have old threats in new applications. Then we have malicious programs, malware. And we have malware that will target all the new applications once they become popular. So whenever an application becomes popular enough, whenever many users start using it, cyber criminals, it will become worthwhile for them to also attack that application. And when talking about Kubefase, because Kubefase is a very hot worm at the moment, by the way, how many of you know about Kubefase? When talking about Kubefase, we can definitely foresee the development of new Kubefase modules that will help the worm spread on more and more social networks. Because in 2007, when Kubefase in 2008, sorry, when Coolface first appeared, it was only targeting MySpace and Facebook. And right now, as we speak, it is targeting more than 20 social networks. So the bad guys are still working on it. They're still developing it to be able to spread it through more and more websites. As the pool of users that are falling for these cheap tricks is draining out, they will have to start targeting more advanced users, more experienced users. And you want to target when you want to target more experienced users, you must care about the AV detection rates. You must care about how many antivirus detect you. And in order to, as a bad guy, in order to prevent or to delay AV detection, you must make the analysis process harder. You must make the life of me and my colleagues even harder. So probably they will start encrypting their config files to make us to make it harder for us to analyze whenever they send new modules and to identify and to detect them. They will probably try to work on their communications infrastructure, because at this point the technology is pretty simple. It's some sort of server-client technology for delivering new updates, which can be shut down rather easily. It's not that easy, but it's not impossible also. So probably they'll think about something like peer-to-peer architecture. And in the end, they will start using drive-by downloads. They started experimenting with this at the end of 2009, so probably the shift from social engineering that is making them attack users that are not that experienced will shift towards using exploits, web browser exploits, or Flash Player plugin exploits, PDF exploits, to start infecting more advanced users. So everybody started talking about targeted attacks at the end of 2010. At the beginning of 2010. I started talking about them, I think, at the half of 2009. But I was talking about them from the point of view of social networks, because at this moment we are sharing so much information on social network. So much personal information is becoming public right now about us on social networks like Facebook or Twitter. So the thing is, the advertisers are already using this information. They are using it to deliver targeted ads on Facebook. They are using it to deliver targeted ads on Google. And these ads are targeted based on whatever information is public about you, things like age, gender, location, interests, place of work, and stuff like that. So if the advertisers are using it, I don't see any reason why the cyber criminals will not also start using targeted attacks based on the information that is out there. And the thing is, the information is already there. The APIs are there, the profiles are there, the social networks are there. The only thing that's left to do for them is to automate these attacks. So in order to let's say, just lose a couple of days by profiling a certain person, getting as much information about him as possible so that the cyber criminals could launch a targeted attack, the information is already there, so they can just script it and they can just use it.